Previously on Balls.
BOLLOCKZ. Right, in the absence of Danny O'Donnell, because he's trying to deal with the fallout from this Puma thing that's going on at the moment, I just gave Gordon Igesund a call, and Gordon is absolutely raving about his future and about the way things go. Yesterday, I don't know if anyone noticed, the Sports Minister Fikile Mbalule came out and gave Gordon a really nice boost yesterday, saying that we've got to stick with Gordon, we've got to give him a chance, we can't blame him for the failure to qualify for the World Cup. And I've got Gordon on about 30 seconds ago. I think he's engaged now, and Gordon wants to tell us, and I want to tell Gordon, the enthusiasm. We were speaking again to footballers this week, people that hang around the Bafana camp, are actually in the Bafana camp at time. I can't give you all their names, but I was certainly speaking to Darren Patterson yesterday on the golf range, and Deshi Bakhtar over the weekend. People involved with Bafana, people involved in football, talking about the way that Gordon Igesund, in the kind of year and a half, 2 years that he's been in, since the days of the Brazilians that ran us through the World Cup, Joel Santana followed by Pereira, then into Pizzo's torrid reign. Gordon saying that people are now proud, enthusiastic, excited to come and play for Bafana, and that if you analyse the statistics of what he's achieved. Gordon, is that you?
Hello.
Hi, Gordon. Gordon? Gordon, I'm just telling my listeners and viewers on Balls that the enthusiasm that you just came across in the conversation we just had while the music was on has really lifted me. I mean, it's been quite an interesting morning in terms of stories breaking and that kind of thing. Gordon, if we go back right to the start, before your reign, when we were drawing with Ethiopia and Botswana, and there was a general air of gloom around the national team. We're speaking to footballers, close to your camp. Things, if you actually analyse what you've achieved, aren't we looking at quite a nice kind of revival of South African football at an international level, despite the fact that we just missed out on World Cup qualification?
Yeah, Neil, I think it's been a very, very tough year, and I think the national team has really come on leaps and bounds in the last year. When you start analysing everything and putting everything into perspective. Sorry, can't find the word.
Perspective.
Go on. When you really start looking at the whole situation, I think that one can see that there has been a big improvement. What I'm really pleased about was over the last year we've managed to install a lot of pride and passion in the team, a lot of commitment from the players. Previously, I think it was just an automatic situation, a group of players regularly getting picked and the same group of players playing. My technical team and I, we sat down over the last year and we really analysed the situation, where we went wrong, what we've been doing, and we've introduced a lot of young players into the squad. And it's not easy because, if you look at our game against Morocco on the weekend, for example, we had 2 20-year-olds, 3 21-year-olds, 3 23-year-olds all playing in the national team against a Moroccan team that was really had a lot of good players in their side. 4 or 5 players play in Spain, a couple of them play for Juventus, a couple of them play all over the place. They're playing week in and week out against players like Ronaldo, like Messi, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So to put these guys into a team, and it's the first time they've played together. It wasn't actually a well-drilled team that's been training together for a couple of weeks. They've been trained together for one day before the match. And, for them to put up that type of performance and play that type of passion, that kind of commitment, that makes me happy, because playing for your national team, it's the ultimate for any football player. And now, where we are, we've got a group of players, and not only the players that I've selected, but every single player playing in the PSL, every single player playing abroad. I'm getting emails from players playing in Scotland in the second division saying, this is where I'm playing, keep an eye on me, because they all know they've got a chance. If they're performing, they've got a chance. And the selection criteria has always been fair and honest. So I'm very happy with that. And as I say, it's been a tough year for everybody, because we've tried to get the results, because we're very result-orientated in this country, and we've also tried to get the balance right, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, but overall I think it's been a great year, and things are looking very positive.
Good. I thought Friday night in many ways epitomised the kind of thing that you have to confront. You go to Morocco, to Agadir, to a brand new stadium, which, by the way, looked absolutely brilliant, absolutely packed to the rafters. Morocco desperate to beat South Africa, who still have a reputation as being the team to beat in Africa. And you go out there and you put them on the back foot. Ranty gets the early goal. You come away with a 1-1 draw in front of 50,000 mad Moroccans. And I think that deserves quite a lot of credit. And that on Friday night, I don't think you quite got the credit you deserved for a very good result against a very well-motivated Morocco side.
Yeah, look, it's not easy to go to Morocco. You know, they're also having their problems, and they needed to win this game, obviously, the opening of a new stadium. But what pleased me the most was the way the guys adapted themselves. I mean, for example, my two centre-half pairing. It's the first time they've ever been on the field together, playing together. So the understanding wasn't quite there, who should go, who shouldn't go, who must pick up, who must, back off. And all these kind of things. These things take time, and it takes a period of time on a training field to do these things, And there were 5 or 6 players on that side who had never played together before as a team. It's the first time that team had been out together as a team. Yep. So, we took the game to Morocco, and there was a period in the game when we just kept possession and passed the ball around, and their supporters actually started supporting us for a period. When we kept knocking the ball around.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And to play the type of football that we play now. We've got a bit of a new identity now. If you can see, whenever the national team plays now, it's the same way, the same style, the same system, the same philosophy we got. We want to go forward. We want to keep possession. We want to attack teams very offensively. We're scoring lots of goals. So, at the end of the day, I'm really pleased with the way things are going. Although we've still got a lot of work to do, because the biggest thing we have to sort out now, Neil, is our development. And I know that's a cliche. We always keep talking about development. But in reality, these players, they've had... I mean, can you imagine if these young players who have played on the weekend against Morocco had come through the system from under 17s, under 17s, under 20, under 23, playing the same way as the senior national team plays. When these players come to me, they are now organised, they've got experience, they've been playing in international competitions. Some of these guys are the first time they've played in an international competition like this. So the experience is not there, and these guys need to gain this experience. And this is why it's so important that our under 17s, 20 and 23 players all come through to the national team, and they've been developed to play and develop players for the senior national team. That's important. What we've done over the last 5 months is they haven't come to development, they've come straight. They've bypassed all that straight to the national team. Yeah. And this is the risk that I had to take to give these guys an opportunity, because they've got to start somewhere. And because our under 17s, the 20s are not active at the moment, and this is something that we're working on very closely. All of us here at SAFA, all of us together are working on this to make sure that we have competitions for these players. I mean, if players like, for example, there were only maybe 2 players who came through the system. I mean, that's it. The other players have never played under 70s or 23s or whatever. So straight to the national team, it's not easy for them. And it's not easy for me as a coach, because you expect them to know certain things and how we play and how to adapt in the situation. If you play in number 10, what is your role? If you play in number 7, what is your role? If you play as a striker, what is your role? Instead of trying to do it in one day and say, this is what I want you to do today. It's not easy, but slowly but surely we're getting there.
So, Gordon, my feeling, having lived around the world, is that our under 17s and under 20s don't actually get to play enough, and when they do, they have a whole host of club withdrawals if it's not in a FIFA weekend. Are you looking at a situation where our under 20s and under 17s will now get a new structure, a little bit more backing from the PSL in particular, and we'll be able to put out competitive under 17 and under 20 sides in the very near future?
Well, that's exactly what we need to do. We need to make sure they get involved in these competitions. They need to go to Europe. They need to go to Germany. They need to go to Spain. They need to go to England and play in competitions and play in games. Take the team to Germany and play the German under 23 team to gain that type of experience. And that's what's important. We can't just sit around and wait for a game here and a game there. We've got to be very active. We've got to have the top coaches coaching in these teams. And that's all going to happen in the next couple of weeks. You'll see that announcements will be made of our under 17s, 20, 23 coaches, and we've got to get going now. We have to move forward. And you can imagine some of these guys in 3 years' time from now. I mean, some of them it was their debut. Can you imagine if they've got 25 or 32 caps behind their belts come 2018? When a youngster of 21 has played 50 games for Bafana Bafana, he's only 25 years of age. That's where we want to be. Our players who have played 50 games and 80 games are 29 and 30 years of age. So we acknowledge that things haven't been done correctly over the last few years. It's always been a quick fix. oh, we try and qualify for the World Cup. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. You know, everything is based on what's coming up. You know, we need to make sure that we've got a plan in place, follow that plan, and get everything done.
Okay, so what we can definitely pull from this conversation is that you've had to deal with the Bafana side, bringing in youngsters like Igesund and Claire and some of those lads we've seen. Potosi was another one. You've had to do that in the senior Bafana side because you don't have an under-17, under-20, under-23 structure that other countries have and will bring blood players there. You're now saying that in the next couple of weeks you will be announcing structures and coaches for under-17 and under-23, a revival of Bafana's young sides, yeah?
Well, the structures are all in place at the moment now. Now we just have to make the announcement of the coaches who are going to be coaching those teams. And if you look at a player like Nte, I mean, he's 19 years of age. Potosi is 20 years of age.
Yeah.
You know, these guys, they should have had at least 25 to 30 games already under their belts playing in the under-17, under-20 team. Can you imagine the difference it would have made to our national team if these players already played 30 games?
Yes, I can, and I watch it and I see it. And every time any player comes through it, Germany, Spain, England, they'll have played 16, 17 games, right from under 15 schools, and then under 17, then under 20, and then maybe the Olympics as well. And
exactly, Neil, what happens then is, for example, let's just say Ronaldo is playing under 17s right now. Let's go back 20, 15 years. Ronaldo's under 17, and we got Nte mocking him in the under-17s all the time. And then he graduates to the under-20, and he's still marking Ronaldo because they're playing in competitions all the time. And it comes to under-23, the same players marking Ronaldo again. He knows how Ronaldo plays. He's used to him. So, you know, it's like they've played against these players. They've grown up with them. They've come through the system. Each country, for example, Ronaldo comes through the system here, this one comes through the system there, our players come through our system, but they're playing against each other, and eventually they all get to their senior national teams, whether it be Spain or Germany or South Africa. They know, I've played against this guy for the last 8 years. I know how he plays. I can mark him. I know I can do this. I know I can do that. All of a sudden now, a player like Nte comes up, and if we were playing Spain or we were playing, yes, we mark Lionel Messi. But if he was in the system at the same time Lionel Messi was in the system, he would have been having played against Lionel Messi 20 times already over a period of 6-7 years.
That's how it should be, mate. And it's so good to hear that in the next couple of weeks we're going to find out who's going to be coaching those sides, working, you know, hand in glove with you, obviously, as the senior head coach, and you'll be able to look at players instead of pushing them straight into a game against Zimbabwe or a game in Morocco. You'll be able to put them through the under-20 system, the under-17 system, and get players that know the way that you play and the plans that you have, yeah?
Yeah, look, you know, it's all very exciting, but, you know, this thing's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take, I think all of us are going to reap the benefits in probably 5 years' time from now, 5 or 6 years' time, because as you saw on the weekend, I had a group of players playing there, and I was very pleased with them. I mean, the Potosis, the Dalen Claessens, the Ntes, and BOLLOCKZ, all these guys did a great job. But they obviously lack the experience of international level. Now, can you imagine that group of players? And I can tell you right now, Neil, there's another group of players that you and I and the whole of South Africa don't know about. We don't know about because we haven't found them yet.
No.
But they're going to be found, and they're going to come through our system. They're going to be drafted into the under-17 team, and they're going to be drafted into the under-20 team, and they're going to be the superstars because it's not just a group of players we can identify now. There's players that we don't even know about at this moment. As you and I are talking, there's probably about 20 youngsters out there that are 16, 15, and 16 years of age with tremendous ability. And if we don't get them into the system, they get lost in the system. Yeah. And then we're all going to be lost because we're losing out on their talent. But when we've got structures in place, like we have got them in place, we just need the coaches now, we have the final points now. These players will be coming through our system. So we're going to have an abundance of players. We're going to have people out there, as I say, top quality coaches coaching these teams and identifying players and looking for players in certain areas. We've got the school football coming through now. We've got the amateur football coming through, right from grassroots level, right through. So when there's an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old, just the other day I read a story somewhere, I think Real Madrid beat Barcelona if you sign up a 9-year-old.
That's right. That's what they do, yeah.
I mean, a 9-year-old. They got the, you know, time flies, Neil. I mean, he's 9 now, but in 5 years' time, he's already just about being a professional, signing for a club, and that's what we need to do. We need to do that. And yes, we have been isolated for many years. As you know, we've had a tough time in our lives with all this, you know, with it being banned from football and so on and so forth over that period. Yeah. But we're on track now. So let's let's get in line with all this. Let's find out our 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds. And in 5 years' time, that players playing in an under 20, under 23 team, and all of a sudden, we've got 4, 5, 6 players in our senior national team that have got years and years of experience, played international football against some of the great players of the world that will become great players playing for their senior national teams. So it's all very exciting. It's all very easy to talk about. I mean, I can talk about it with you for hours and hours, but we need to put it into practice, which we haven't done in the past. And we're going to do that now. And as I say, we're on the right track now. And every player that comes to the national team must have come through our development, because we can't just, how can we put a player really in our senior national team if he's never ever played for under 17s, under 20s, under 23s? What's going to make him good enough for the senior national team if he hasn't participated there? And that's what the situation is now. We're now played in the African Cup of Nations at a squad of 23 players, and probably 17 of those players had never represented any of our junior national teams.
At any level. It's bizarre. I mean, I need to make 2 final points to you, Gordon. One is that Andros Townsend, the new guy that's starring for England, the Spurs player, he signed for Spurs at the age of 9, and he's come through that kind of development process that you're talking about, the kind of player that we haven't even met yet. And you're saying that we are going to be addressing that. Over the next couple of months, we will start to put in place a Bafana structure that gets to players when they're 15 or 16.
Yeah, we've got a master plan now, and we're going to stick to it. And as I say, these things take time. Sometimes people might get impatient, but in the long run, it's a correct thing, and our football will be amongst the best in the world. There's no doubt about that. I can tell you right now, we've got players in this country that are very, very skillful, very athletic. They're very, they're very mobile. And got great skills. They just need the right type of coaching and come through the system, and we'll be able to compete with the best in the world. But it's not going to happen overnight. It takes a time, and people need to understand and realize that this is a process. Unfortunately, we have to start now because we haven't done it in the past for many, many years. And this is why we are where we are right now.
It's been neglected, there's no question. But can I just read you a quote from Fakila Mbalula yesterday when he was speaking at the Sports Award nominations on Wednesday? Gordon is building something. Let's support him. Even if it means employing extra people to help, let's do that. This rush does not work. Let's not do the quick fix solution. Gordon cannot be the scapegoat. That's from our sports minister. I thought that was exactly what we need at this point. And he's supporting you to the hill. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. When I read it myself, I saw it, and I felt really pleased about that, because he's also got a vision, and he can see what's happening. I mean, like I said, Neil, earlier on, I really believe, and this is my humble opinion, that the national team has really come leaps and bounds, and I think everybody can really see that. But you always obviously get people out there who've got their own motives or their own reasons or whatever to criticize and always say certain things, and that's part of the game, and criticism is great because I enjoy criticism because you get to learn from it, and football is about opinions. But in reality, the truth of the matter is really and truly, I think we're really on the right track now. And we've just got to keep moving forward. We've got to keep going. And we've got tough times ahead of us. But after these times, I think football in general will benefit. And that's what we all want. We all want our country to be a force in world football. We've got to be in the top 20 in the world. We've got to be in the top 3 in Africa and striving all the time to become better and better and better. And, sometime, somewhere along the line, there's going to be an African team winning the World Cup. But why shouldn't it be South Africa?
Yeah, mate, we dream of that, don't we? We looked at that Ghana side the other night. Can't help thinking they're going to give a few people a good game in Brazil next year. That'd be good.
Well, yeah, I mean, Brazilian football also went through its bad patches. Everybody goes through bad periods, and solutions are done, and they stick to it, and it takes time, And so for 5 years, people take a lot of criticism, but after 5 years, everything starts, there's a big picture then, everything starts falling into place, and people start realizing how we've got a good team now. But they forget about what we had to go through to get to that stage. And I think that's where we are, and I'm just very grateful that I've got the support of the minister. I think it's important, and I think it's also important that we just all work together in this. It's not about me or one person or one individual. It's about a whole lot of people. It's about all of us in actual fact. The national team is the pride of the country, and we've got to keep making that and thriving all the time to be the best that we can be. It's been difficult over the last period because we haven't had the players coming through development. We've had them just coming straight to the national team, and sometimes it's a big gamble to do this because, as I said earlier on, we're very result-orientated. But at the end of the day, you've got to be strong, and we've got to stick to the plan, and we've got to make sure it happens.
Great stuff, Gordon. No, I think any kind of cursory analysis of what's happened, since the kind of dark days of at the start of our World Cup qualifying campaign, we are scoring more goals, we are getting better results, we have moved up the rankings. Just carry on with it, Gordon. You've got to have a thick skin in your job, and glad to have you there. Glad to have you and Danny Jordan in position now. I think there's quite an optimistic light, despite despite what people say.
No, Neil, thanks very much. And as I say, I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Great stuff, Gord. Thanks a million, mate. Thanks for making the time for us. So, Gordon Igesund. That was nice comfort. Yeah, but got hold of Gordon pretty short notice, really, because we couldn't get hold of Danny or Don. It's always nice to hear Gordon talk. There is not a man with more energy and more enthusiasm for creating decent structures for our football. I know that today's breaking story has been Puma pulling out of Safa and Bafana, and everyone on Twitter, having a go about it. MoCats7 on Twitter is Mo_Cats7. Is it possible for Adidas to make a U-turn and sponsor Bafana? There's talk about making homemade shirts, and when I first phoned Gordon, about 10 minutes ago, before he actually came on, I said, "Do you want to talk about the sponsorship thing, the loss of ABSA and Puma?" And Gordon said, "No, he doesn't talk sponsorship. He talks football. He talks development. He talks about the upcoming appointment of under 17 and under 23 coaches. They're going to be made in the next few weeks. I know he works well with Danny Jordan. Let's be optimistic. Losing Puma isn't the end of the world. Losing ABSA isn't the end of the world. I do think we need to hold this match-fixing inquiry that the president's supposed to have put in place about a year ago. I think with that, unless we can clear that up, unless we can suspend and punish the people that were involved in those 4 friendlies before the World Cup, which were fixed, and FIFA, have no question about that, we're going to struggle to find sponsorship. We do have to have that inquiry and let Gordon and Danny take our football somewhere better. Put structures in place, just like Gordon said. Comfort, take it from me, mate.
Who do you think is going to become the new sponsor, though? I hope New Balance.
New Balance. New Balance is the trendy one.
This is Balls Visual Radio.